Hey, I'm Connor, that rum drinker, and I'm taking you on my journey as I explore the world of rum. Today I'm taking it back to something I kind of started to discover properly in the summer, and that's how to taste rum. And it sounds really obvious because, however you like drinking rum, that's the correct way. If you want to go for a cocktail like daiquiri, a mojito, a rum fashioned, whatever it might be, a pina colada even, if that's how you like to drink your rum, do it. If you like a mixer, so Coke, Stratford sodas, ginger beer, ginger ale, all those things, then that's how you should drink rum. Like, that's how you like it, that's how you drink it. But what I want to talk about is how to taste rum neat, and the little differences you can make, the little things you can look out for to enhance that journey, to be able to get more from the rum, to understand the profile of kind of the palate, the flavour profiles, things like that. And in today's video, I'm going to be touching on a few things. So glassware is kind of a big one. Then I want to kind of touch on describing what you're getting like on the nose, on your palate, on the finish. How do you describe that? Is there a right or wrong way to do it? And then I'm going to touch towards the end on pairings. So I'm going to do two pairings, chocolate and dried banana or banana chips towards the end. So stay tuned, we're going to kind of go through those now. So today I'm going to be doing a tasting of Brugal 1888. I had the pleasure of doing a taste along with Jamie, one of the Brugal ambassadors at both the Rum Show back in the summer and Rumfest. And he really got me onto this notion, this kind of concept of pairing rum, so with chocolate, with banana. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. But for now, I really want to touch on the glassware to start. And this whole video is about getting rid of those concepts of right and wrong. There isn't a right way or there isn't a wrong way of doing it. There's a better way and there's a way of enhancing those experiences. But you're not going to be wrong because this is about your journey. And if you're starting your journey and like you've only got tumblers, highballs, those kind of glasses, maybe don't pour yourself a pint of rum, let's not go crazy. But if you're pouring your sample, your dram into a glass like this, you're still going to get the qualities of the rum. What you're not necessarily going to get is the enhanced improvement that a different kind of glass will offer. So going on to one like this, a tulip style glass, this has a couple of really nice benefits. So firstly, there's no stem. So when you're holding it in your hand, you're going to warm the glass slightly. And that will change the profile ever so slightly as it warms the spirit. Secondly, the shape of it. So where it brings the glass like this, it reduces the amount of kind of surface area that the evaporation of any spirit or kind of those notes on the nose will have to go. So it brings them in, which means you get a more enhanced experience on the nose. So when you're sniffing, you do get more more focus of those kind of profiles. And then you've got the Glencairn, or kind of this typical spirit tasting glass. And same as the tulip glass there, this is the same experience, a slightly smaller kind of hole at the top for those as well. Still that's kind of shaping it, moving those vapors. And again, you can kind of hold it and warm the spirit slightly in your hand. So it's an ideal sipping experience. But whilst it does enhance, that's not to say that you're going to have a bad experience drinking from one of these, because the spirit does stay the same. And if I were to try this neat and then be like, oh, I might add some ginger ale or I might add something else, this is probably the one to add it to. Like, yes, I could add Coke to this, but it's going to look a bit weird. But this is kind of suited to being a mixer drink or a cocktail. Like, this is my favourite glass for a Negroni. So that's glassware. We're going to move on now. I'm going to take these away and we're going to move on to my top tips or my guide to tasting rum. When it comes to the tasting of a rum, I like to use the RumX app recently started using this. I find it a really good format for consistency. So there's a scoring system out of 100, everything from, this is dreadful to this is the best rum I'm ever going to drink. And, it's got a really nice community aspect to it as well. So you can see what other people have not only rated it, but also the profile that they've kind of scored it under. So with the app here, you have the ability to rate both the aroma, so on the nose, and the palate, or the taste. And you do this scoring it 1 to 5, or 0 to 5, on a number of factors. So you've got sweetness, the fruit, the floral, spices, woody, roasted and round. So already this is putting you into the right frame of mind where you're able to keep going back, looking for certain things and going, am I getting these kind of fruity notes, whether they be tropical or the kind of the dried fruits, the dates, those kind of things. So it's an ideal experience for kind of getting you to think and look out. The community aspect also comes in really handy because it lets you see what other people have said they taste. So as well as just going with the kind of what I'll put up on the screen, but this like spider graph of the the fruit, the floral, the woody, the round, you also are able to list the actual qualities you're getting. So for Brugal, there's sherry, fruits, coffee, tobacco, candied, nutmeg, clove on the nose. Then kind of moving on, and we'll do this a little bit, I'm sure, when we kind of do the tasting. But again, on the taste, I've got sherries coming up again, but slightly new to this. There's bitter, there's balanced, there's warm, woody, oak. There's a lot of spice. There's a lot of things going on here where, again, you can't really be wrong. There are certain ones there that I would personally disagree with. And there's some that I'm going to list that you might disagree with, or that other people on the RumX community might not be tasting. And that's because your palate is based on your experiences. So if you've never eaten or smelt or tasted a mango, it doesn't matter if it's a mango flavoured rum. You're not going to get it because you've not experienced it. So you might then be like, I'm getting pineapple, I'm getting banana, or I'm getting something similar. Because you can tie that flavour to something that you've tasted. So one of the rums I've tasted previously in an earlier video, I was like, I can taste a sweet that I had when I was a child, because it was the exact, that kind of cinema sweet. And I was like, no, not many people would get that unless they had that connection, the exact memory where they're like, I remember eating that sweet, having that kind of taste in my mouth, and being able to translate it to what you're tasting. So, there are going to be things where this rum does not contain X, Y, Z. So if you're getting that, it's not wrong. So if this doesn't contain, can't remember what this does contain, but if this doesn't contain like those kind of really floral notes, so that kind of like those grassy vegetal notes, then you getting those isn't that your palate is wrong or something. It is just you are relating that back to something different. So where you're getting floral, I'm getting fruity. There's also things like the woody and the smoke. That's often, especially early on in my journey, I found something that I got a bit confused with, because I was like, I'm getting a bit of alcohol burn, and I was like, maybe that's that kind of oaky, smoky notes. And it's like, as I then tasted rums where that was really prominent because of the barrel aging or because of various other factors, I was then like going back and I was going, that's not woody. So where this is now a 4 out of 5, I'm like, that has to be a 1 because in comparison. And the RumX app lets you kind of keep retasting, changing your scores, and as your profile, as your palate, as you on your rum journey evolve and adapt and explore around, you get this sense of journey. And that's what I really like, because you can go, 2 years ago, this would not have been one of my high-ranking rums. It just would have been too much for my palate. But now, as a Dominican Republic rum, it's opened me up to a new country, a new style of rums, a a way of understanding and looking into rums that I like, and that's what's really fascinating about this. So when it comes to tasting, you're going to want to pour a small amount into your glass, like so. That's slightly heavy pour. It's fine, it's for education purposes, so it doesn't count. So the first thing you're going to want to be doing when you're doing these kind of proper sit down or stand up rum tasting sessions is making sure that you are drinking plenty of water. Helps kind of neutralize your palate. It helps you stay hydrated as well, which is really important, especially if you're doing a lot of rums, or if you're kind of going about like a rum show where you're trying lots of different styles, or if, like me, you're just filming a lot of content in one go. So water keeps you hydrated. Another thing is being mindful of the foods you've eaten and hot drinks and things like that. If you've had a cup of coffee, or you've had a curry for lunch, your palate is already going to be off neutral. So the more neutral your palate is, the better, or the more accurate to this kind of neutral, this ground zero that you're going to be. So generally speaking, I'm a little too early on, or uneducated, for lack of a better word, in my rum journey to really appreciate the colour and the legs on a rum. The reason I don't understand colour, I won't go into kind of these two because they're not something I'm very confident talking about, they're not something I know too much on. But the colour, caramel and colourants are used to kind of keep things consistent. So a very dark looking rum might just be a white rum with colourant, for example. And when it comes to legs, I can swirl this around, I can look at it and go like, it is sticking to the glass a little, but I don't know what I'm looking for. And even if I do see long legs clinging to the glass, or, the opposite, I don't know what it means enough to be able to kind of really appreciate what that means for the tasting journey I'm going on. So one thing to really avoid when you're coming in to kind of get this on the nose, to give this a smell, is you want to avoid sticking your nose straight in the glass, like so, and taking a big whiff. Because you're going to be attacked with the alcohol. And the last thing you want to do is be kind of burning off your nose, burning off that palate, because it's going to make it harder, and it's potentially going to make it an unpleasant experience. So what I like to quite do, especially kind of for the earlier kind of smells, I mean, I can smell this from this distance. It's quite a strong aroma. It's wafting towards me, but I like to waft it past. And what that does, it allows me to get glances of that. So it's not a concentrated, especially with this glass, shaping those kind of aromas, shaping those that into a concentrated area. I don't want to then be bombarded with it. I want to be able to kind of get that gently and be able to process it. And then the palate. What's really important to note, especially if you're early on in your rum journey, as I imagine you probably are, is the first sip is really not for you. The first sip is for acclimatizing your palate. So to let that alcohol burn off kind of that top level. You're going to, especially with a higher ABV, you're going to want to give yourself a chance to get yourself ready for that experience. So if this is the first kind of sip of rum you've had today, or the first sip of alcohol, then you're going to kind of be mindful that you might not get everything or anything on that first sip. And this isn't about taking a massive swig. It's kind of, keep going back. Like what I look for when I'm doing a tasting is I've got my my list of things that I'm looking out for. So my how round it is, how woody, the oakiness, the floral, the fruity, etc. The spice. And sweetness including that as well. So I'm looking out for those, but I'm also trying to pick out different flavours. And so when I'm taking that sip, I'm letting it work in my mouth. I'm giving it a chance to kind of rest and see what I'm getting from it. And those notes I'll then be jotting down, whether that's on a piece of paper, making a note of that down, or in the RumX app straight away, just kind of typing them in, looking for them. There's a nice, easy to use interface where you can kind of just tap into sections. So if you're getting, for example, something fruity, you can tap fruit and then you can expand that out into a range of the other fruits. So then you could go, I'm getting orange, and then if you tap into orange, are you getting blood orange, orange peel, orange zest, fresh orange, dried orange? What's great about it is there are so many different nuances. So a rum where I'm getting blood orange is a very, very different taste to something where I'm getting kind of orange peel, or candied orange, which is much more subtle. And finally, the finish. So you've taken your sip of rum, and what you want to see is how long the finish is. Is it something that's sitting and building and changing, evolving in your mouth? So where I might have had kind of fruit forward, it might be spice towards the tail, towards the finish, and building at the back of your throat, you know, short, long finish. There's all kinds of things to kind of note down there. And you're just, those first few sips, they're for the palate, they're for the taste. So you're taking your sip and you're like, I'm getting, you know, I'm getting tobacco, I'm getting coffee, I'm getting slightly fruity notes, whatever it might be. And then once you've kind of got that, once you're happy, you're taking that final sip. And then you're letting it build. So I don't take any more, and I wait, and I get that slight bit there where it's developing, and you know, this is quite a long finish for me. So this is kind of evolving from that kind of quite a sweet rounded rum towards the front, and then on that tail end, it's getting this nice developing into this quite warm, oaky notes at the finish. So just to summarise kind of on that palate side, so with the nose, the taste and the finish, you will be getting different things, and don't be discouraged if you're getting something wildly different, because your palate will adjust, your experiences will change if you've not, like I said, if you've not had a certain fruit or flavour before. You know, if you've never had tobacco, you're not going to get tobacco notes, you're going to get something different. You might be like, I'm getting something smoky or oaky or woody, whatever it might be. So don't be discouraged by that. My palate now versus 2 months ago versus a year ago is so drastically different. Rums that I liked, I no longer like. Rums that would have terrified me before are now fantastic, and you are going to get very, very different experiences on your rum journey. And on the subject of different experiences, I do, like I said, want to finish on pairing. So I've got in front of me some dark chocolate, and I've also got potentially the largest jar of dried banana chips ever known to man. I was going to put them into a small dish, but I didn't. So that's that. So what's really good about this is we've obviously tried this rum neat. You can also open it up with some ice or a splash of water if you kind of want to dilute that down, especially with the higher ABVs. Just lets it kind of open up a little bit more, allows you to kind of get those flavours. So what you want to do with this is really see what the chocolate and the banana do for your palate. So you can take the chocolate just before, you can take it just after. I like to take a bite of the chocolate first, give it a bit of chew, take a sip of the rum and see what happens. Now, it's worth noting, chocolate, you want to go for a very high percentage of cocoa. So this is a pretty high, this 70%, 85%, 90%, they're kind of the ones I go for. I'm out of the higher cocoa, so 70% for this one. And this brings out a lot more of those oaky, woody notes, those kind of slightly more smoky notes. With this, I do recommend either taking another sip neat, have a bit of water, just kind of reset your palate down again. So where the chocolate was bringing out one very different profile and really enhancing those flavours. So I wouldn't say I was getting anything different to when I sipped neat, but those notes that were more subtle were very, very front forward, very, very, very prominent. When we're moving on to like a banana chip, however, this enhances a completely different profile of the rum. And this really helps understand the impact, as I said kind of towards the beginning of the video, if you're having a curry or brushing your teeth or something like that before you go to a rum tasting, you're going to have a weird experience because toothpaste is not going to bring out a nice kind of nice profile. Paprika, that kind of like chili flakes, they're going to bring out something peculiar in the rum. So moving on to like a banana chip, that's going to bring out a much more of those fruity tropical notes for this. So there, where I got previously those oak wood forward, they're so mellow in comparison. This brings out, enhanced by the kind of the tropicalness, tropicality, we'll go with that, of the dried banana. It changes the profile of this completely and then changes it completely from when I had it neat. So there we have it. They are my top tips, my how-to, my beginner's guide to drinking rum neat. I hope you found this video helpful. Please drop a like, a comment. If you're not already subscribed, think about hitting that subscribe button. Obviously means you get to see more of these kind of videos. And as always, let me know what you thought. If you found this helpful, if you didn't, if you think Brugal is a bit of a bold choice for a starting point, or you know, where are you in your rum journey? I'd love to know. But thanks for watching and see you soon. Cheers.